What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to give you guys my NFL playoff predictions for the wild card round of the 2021 NFL playoffs. It will kick off tomorrow on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So definitely continue to tell your friends and family about the channel. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So first, we're going to start off with the first game that will kick off the NFL playoffs in the wild card round tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Buffalo Bills. This will be a home game for the Buffalo Bills. And in this game, I am taking the Buffalo Bills to beat the Indianapolis Colts in this game. I do believe that this game is going to be closer than a lot of people think because the Indianapolis Colts are a well-coached team. Frank Reich is their head coach. He's a great offensive-minded coach. He actually was the offensive coordinator for the 2017 Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. He was there with Doug Peterson the year that Nick Foles led the Eagles to the championship. The head coach of the Indianapolis Colts now, Frank Reich, former NFL quarterback, was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles that won that Super Bowl in 2017 over the Patriots. And he's definitely a great offensive-minded coach. The Colts do have a good defense, and they are physical. They're able to run the football. Jonathan Taylor, I believe his name is. He actually came out of the University of Wisconsin, He was one of the guys that I wanted our Atlanta Falcons to look at drafting. He's a great running back, rookie running back, very fast, physical. And he could have a big game tomorrow. I think this dude is a really good running back. And I do think that they can make this game between the Bills and the Colts very close. I do think, like I said, it's going to be a close game. But I'm taking the Bills for the mere fact that I think the offense of the Buffalo Bills is playing at a really high level right now. Josh Allen has really found his groove. Brian DeBall, the OC, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, he actually interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons for the head coaching position with us. He's one of those guys I really like as an offensive mind as well in this league. Leslie Frazier, who is his defensive coordinator, he's a great defensive mind as well. But I think in this game, I love what the Bills did in the offseason with bringing in Stephon Diggs to be the number one receiver for Buffalo. I really think that he's changed life for Josh Allen. He's given him a dominant target that he can go to when things get tough. And Stephon Diggs actually had a really big season. He came over from the Minnesota Vikings. He actually led their team in receiving yards and touchdowns. And he also led the league, the NFL, in receptions this year with 100+ receptions. So in this game, I do think that Stephon Diggs is probably going to have a big game. He's had a big season for the Bills. He's had a great season. And I think that the Bills will be too much for the Colts in this game. I do think, like I said, it's going to be a close game because the Colts are a veteran team. They do have Phillip Rivers, the longtime San Diego Charger and LA Charger quarterback. He is the quarterback right now for the Indianapolis Colts. So he has a ton of playoff experience and a ton of NFL experience. So I do think it's going to be a really close game. I expect it to be really cold outside. So that's an advantage for the Buffalo Bills because we all know that the Indianapolis Colts are a team that plays in a dome. So this is going to be a big advantage for the Buffalo Bills playing up in Buffalo, New York in the cold elements. And I really think that with Josh Allen throwing that ball around and with the that creative offense that Brian DeBall has there in Buffalo, I do think that they're going to be a little too much for the Colts in this matchup. So I'm taking the Buffalo Bills with this first matchup. Now, In the second game on Saturday, the 4:40 p.m. game, it's going to be the LA Rams traveling to the Seattle Seahawks. In this game, I'm actually taking the Seahawks over the Rams. And the main reason I'm taking the Seahawks over the Rams in this game is Jared Goff. The quarterback for the Rams is not playing. He's actually injured, so he won't be playing in this game. And I think that that's going to be a huge disadvantage for the Rams. I do think the Rams have a great defense. I love Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and a lot of the young guys that they have in that secondary that are much improved for the LA Rams. On that defensive line, Michael Brockers, him and Aaron Donald are forced to be reckoned with. On the outside, they brung in Leonard Floyd, the longtime Chicago Bear, and also Georgia Bulldog graduate. He's plays that defensive end role for the Rams, outside linebacker role. He actually had over 10 plus sacks this season, and he had a really good season, a breakout season so far this year. So I do think that the Rams have a stout defense, but I don't think that they're going to be able to put up enough points to be able to keep up with the Seahawks in this game. Russell Wilson, I believe, is the X factor in this game. We all know that Russell Wilson is a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the game right now. Early in the season, he actually was an MVP candidate, but then towards the middle of the season, Russell Wilson kind of struggled, and the Seattle Seahawks struggled a little bit. Now, one thing about the Seahawks that scare me is their defense. Their secondary is not good. They do have Jamal Adams, who has been a difference maker for their team this year, being able to come down in the box and blitz and things of that nature. But I think in this game, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, the linebackers, and Jamal Adams, those are their playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. I really think that they're going to make enough plays to win this game without Jared Goff being there. I can easily see Bobby Wagner coming up with the interception, or even Jamal Adams causing a fumble off of a blitz, because they are playing a backup quarterback by the name of Walford for the LA Rams. So in this game, if Jared Goff was playing, I probably would go with the Rams. But in this game, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks because, for one, it's being played in Seattle. For two, the starting quarterback. In the playoffs, the quarterback play matters. In the NFL nowadays, quarterback play is key. And that's the main reason why I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I just think that they have too many weapons. And I don't believe the Rams are going to be able to shut Russell Wilson and that high-powered offense down. DK Metcalf has solidified himself as a top 10 wide receiver in the game. Also, Tyler Lockett is one of those guys that can go deep and catch a lot of deep passes and touchdowns from Russell Wilson when Russell Wilson gets off script. And he has a number of guys over there in Seattle, a lot of weapons over there in Seattle in his arsenal. The running back, Chris Carson, is another guy that's very physical, that can run the football there in Seattle. So I really think that it's going to be, I could easily see the Seahawks winning this game by at least a touchdown or maybe even 10 points, just for the mere fact that I don't think that the Rams are going to be able to put up the points that they normally can put up with Jared Goff being able to throw the football and read defenses and things of that nature. I haven't seen enough from the backup quarterback that they have there for the Rams. So in that game, I'm definitely taking the Seahawks. Now, in the late game, which is the 8:15 p.m. game, it will be the Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. In that game, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No surprise here. Tom Brady and all the weapons that he has there in Tampa. This game is actually being played in Washington, D.C. due to the mere fact that the Washington football team actually won the NFC East. So being that they're the division champs, the Buccaneers will have to travel to Washington, D.C. It's going to be cold outside because they're an outside team as well. So that could be a plus for the Washington football team. But I just think that Brady has too many weapons, and I don't think that the Washington football team has enough offense of firepower to keep up with the Buccaneers. We all know AB, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then Rojo running the football in the backfield, Leonard Fournette, and the list goes on and on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do think, that they just have too much firepower in this game for the Washington football team. The only way I can see the Washington football team winning this game is if their defensive line gets after Tom Brady and their defense is able to score a touchdown or maybe put their team in the red zone a couple of times due to turnovers. And they're very capable of doing that in this game. They do have Chase Young up front, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen on that defensive line in the middle. Montez Sweat is the other defensive end there for the Washington football team. And then they have Ryan Kerrigan coming off the bench to rush the passer. So they do have 6 first rounders on that defensive line. And you guys know I love the defensive line play. I think that's huge. But I just think in this game, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, the experience that they have of playing in the playoffs, I just think that they're going to be a little bit too much for the Washington football team. And I don't think on the offensive side, I don't think that the Washington football team is going to be able to put up that many points. They do have Alex Smith, who I think should be the comeback player of the year due to him having that terrible leg injury. And he was able to come back, rehab, and come back this season. Ron Rivera battling cancer. Shout out to Ron Rivera for battling cancer and beating cancer. Shout out to him. He was doing treatments all year long. This is his first season with the Washington football team. He came over after being fired by the Carolina Panthers, but he's already doing a great job there in Washington with the Washington football team and turning that franchise around. So shout out to Ron Rivera. I wish him nothing but the best on beating cancer. But I definitely think in this game, like I was saying, I just don't see the Washington football team having enough on offense. They do have Alex Smith, but like I said, Alex Smith is really still battling back from that leg injury. They showed him last Sunday night against the Eagles. He could hardly even throw the ball. And he's wearing like a brace, some type of brace on his calf, like on his leg, the leg that he injured. So I really think in this game that the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to try to blitz Alex Smith. They're probably going to bring a lot of heat. Todd Bowles and that defense is probably going to bring a lot of heat because they know that Alex Smith is basically on one leg. And the only player on that on the offensive side, the only 2 players that I fear on that offensive side is Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, who's a great wide receiver. I believe he's in his second year with the team out of Ohio State, the wide receiver. And then Tashawn Gibson, I believe is his name, the running back for the Washington football team, He's another guy that's really good and can run the ball. He's running the ball very well this year. I believe he's actually a rookie. He's run the ball really well for the Washington football team. But the only chance I think the Washington football team has in winning this game is, like I said, forcing turnovers with that great defensive line and front 7 that they have and running the football and trying to shorten the game and keep Tom Brady off the field. But if they can't do that, which I don't believe they're going to be able to do that the whole game, I really think that the Buccaneers should win this game pretty easily or pretty handily. So I'm going with the Buccaneers in that matchup. Now in my Sunday matchups, the 1:05 p.m. game on Sunday, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to the Tennessee Titans. And this feud or this rivalry goes back to the days of the early 2000s with Ray Lewis versus Eddie George and Steve McNair and those guys. But in this game, I'm actually taking the Titans to beat the Ravens. I just feel like there's always that team that has your number. If you remember last year, the Tennessee Titans in the wild card round traveled to Baltimore and they upset Baltimore. Actually, it was in the divisional round last year. It was I believe a Saturday night game. And the Tennessee Titans went up to Baltimore and basically demolished them last year in the playoffs. And I see the same thing happening in this game. Derrick Henry is a beast. That dude ran for over 2,000 yards this season. So shout outs to Derrick Henry. I definitely think in this game, Derrick Henry is going to have another big game. And I do believe that the Tennessee Titans are going to upset the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Like I said, this is a home game for Tennessee because they did win their division. But I just think that Tennessee is one of those teams that has the Ravens number for whatever reason. This is actually the second matchup between the Ravens and the Titans. The Titans and Ravens played earlier this season, and the Titans were able to win that game. And I think that the trend continues, and this will be the third time in a row that the Titans will have beaten the Ravens if you count last year's playoff matchup. But I just think that Derrick Henry is going to be too much for that Ravens defense. Also, Ryan Tannehill is playing at a very high level at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. And you guys know I love the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. He's very creative, great at drawing up misdirection plays and stuff like that for this Tennessee Titans offense. He's another coach that interviewed for the Atlanta Falcons job or will be interviewing for the Atlanta Falcons head coaching job. And I love this dude, Arthur Smith. He's a great offensive coordinator, the head coach. Mike Vrabel, former linebacker for the New England Patriots. The head coach, he's a very good motivator, very good defensive mind. So him and Arthur Smith pinging off of each other. They have two of the best coaches in the league. And I definitely think in this game, they're going to be able to take advantage of Lamar Jackson's inability to throw the ball consistently down the field. I do think that Lamar Jackson is going to have a better game than he had last year against Tennessee in the playoffs. I just think that they're not going to have enough to be able to keep up with the creativity of the Tennessee Titans offense. I think Tennessee Titans offense is really underrated. The wide receiver that they have over there in Tennessee, the kid Brown out of Ole Miss, that dude is a beast. Him, Corey Davis at wide receiver, Jonnu Smith at the tight end position. They have a lot of weapons, not even counting Derrick Henry there with the Titans. Now, for the Ravens, not so much. They do have Hollywood Brown, who I like a lot at the wide receiver position. He's a speedster. He can catch the ball. Lamar Jackson, when he was on the collegiate level, and now even in the NFL, he is one of my favorite players. He reminds me a lot of Mike Vick, who is one of my favorite all-time Atlanta Falcons players. Lamar Jackson is very explosive, and they could easily win this game as well. I do think it's going to be a good game. I just think that the Titans is one of those teams that just is a bad matchup for the Ravens. And I think in this game that I think the Titans are going to be able to, protect home field and somehow pull this game out. Now, if the Ravens want to win this game, Lamar Jackson is going to have a big game throwing the football, not just running the football. J.K. Dobbins, the rookie running back out of Ohio State for Baltimore, has had a big season, and they've run the ball for like 300 and 400 yards this season, which is crazy. But they ran the ball very well as a team and as a unit. But I just don't think in this game that it's going to be enough. I like the tight end that they have there in Baltimore as well. Andrews, he's a very good tight end, very underrated. And also Dez Bryant, who is playing pretty well, coming back after missing the last 2 or 3 years of playing in the league due to him having that Achilles injury. He's come back and played well this season for Baltimore. So I do think Baltimore has enough firepower. I just don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to be able to consistently make the throws that he needs to make in this big playoff matchup, because Tennessee has one of the better secondaries in the league. Tennessee does struggle to get after the passer or rush the passer, but they have one of the better secondaries in the game with Byard, the safety that they have, the all-pro safety, and then on the outside, Jackson at the corner position, Dory Jackson. He's one of the best young corners in the game. So I do think Dory Jackson at that corner position for the Titans, and Butler, the guy that Malcolm Butler that once played for the Patriots at the other corner position. I think they're going to be a little bit too much in this game. So I'm taking the Titans over the Ravens in this game. Now, in the last game, in the 440 p.m. game on Sunday. You have the Chicago Bears traveling to the New Orleans Saints. In this game, it hurts me to say this because you guys know I'm a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan, but I have to take the Saints in this game over the Bears. I do think that the Saints are going to win this game. And a mere fact, I think they're going to win this game just for the mere fact that I don't think the Bears offense is going to be able to keep up with the New Orleans Saints in this game. We all know that Mitchell Trubisky struggles to throw the ball down the field. I do like Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears. I do think he's a creative offensive mind, and I do think that they could do some things maybe on the defensive side of the ball to try to slow down Drew Brees and the offense of the Saints. But I just think that the Saints have too much firepower. Alvin Kamara should be back from the COVID list. Michael Thomas, I believe he's still on the IR if I'm not mistaken, but he may be coming off the IR soon. So I'm not too sure if he's playing in this game, but I do think that the Saints, they still have too many weapons for the Chicago Bears. Taysom Hill is a guy that they like to use as that Swiss Army knife. Emmanuel Sanders on the outside can make plays. Jared Cook at that tight end position is a veteran who's been around the league, played for the Green Bay Packers for a couple seasons and also played for a couple other teams here in the NFL. So Jared Cook is one of those guys that's played against the Bears, being that he played in that division. So he knows pretty much all the ins and outs of the Bears defense. But I just think in this game is going to be a little bit, the offense of the Saints is going to be a little bit too much for the Bears. I think that I can see the Saints forcing Trubisky into a couple turnovers and them really getting after him. The Saints do have one of the best pass rushes in the game. Cam Jordan, Trey Hendrickson and those guys, Onyemata up there up front. Those guys are very good on their front seven. Demario Davis there in the middle. Those guys are very physical in that front seven. I don't think that they're going to allow the Bears to run the ball in this game. The Saints are one of the best defenses in the league as far as stopping the run and also rushing the passer and creating sacks and turnovers and things of that nature. Lattimore, the cornerback, and Janoris Jenkins, Jackrabbit on the outside. I think that they just have too many playmakers on that side of the ball for Mitchell Trubisky and that Bears offense. Now, I do think that the Bears do have one of the better receivers that's not a well-known receiver, and that's the kid Allen on the outside for the Bears. Is it Allen his name? Yeah, Allen Robinson, excuse me. Allen Robinson, the wide receiver for the Bears. He's one of the, to me, one of the best receivers that's not a household name, but Allen Robinson is one of those guys that gave the Saints trouble in that first matchup. They did play the Saints earlier this season in Chicago, where the Saints traveled to the Chicago Bears earlier this season. And Allen Robinson and at this time they had Nick Foles playing the starting at quarterback. They did give the Saints a tough game. I believe that game went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely think that the Bears can do some things on the defensive side of the ball with Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith at the linebacker position, Danny Trevathan at that linebacker position. And the Bears have one of the best corners with Kyle Fuller on the outside and one of the best safeties as well in Eddie Jackson. So if the Bears do want to win this game, the way that they're going to have to go about winning this game is creating turnovers. Maybe hope that you can get a pick six in this game or a scoop and score in this game. But I don't really see that happening. The Saints, to me, are just too well coached. I don't see a way where the Bears pull this out unless Drew Brees just has a terrible game or goes down with an injury or something like that. Or if Khalil Mack and that defense, just goes crazy in this game. Akeem Hicks is a guy at that nose tackle position that is very good as well. But I really don't see the Bears having enough firepower on offense to be able to slow down Drew Brees. And then also the Saints defense is much improved. And I think that the Saints win this game pretty handily, to be honest with you. Now, in the last matchup, it's going to actually be the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in this game, I'm going to shock a lot of people. This is going to be my upset of the weekend. I have the Cleveland Browns beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. in this 8:15 p.m. matchup. It will be played in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field, but I believe that Baker Mayfield and that offense, Nick Chubb running the football, Kareem Hunt running the football for the Browns, and all of the weapons that they have. On the outside, Jarvis Landry. We all know that Odell Beckham actually got injured for the season, but if they would have had him, he would have been another weapon. But they have a ton of weapon. Austin Hooper, former Atlanta Falcon at tight end for the Cleveland Browns. I really think that the Browns are going to shock everybody this Sunday night in this Sunday night game against Pittsburgh. For whatever reason, I haven't trusted this Pittsburgh team all season long. To me, they kind of have struggled down the later half of the season. For whatever reason, they lost like 3 of the last 4 games or something crazy like that. And I do think that the Steelers have one of the best coaches in Mike Tomlin. I do think he'll have these guys ready to play. I do love TJ Watt at that defensive end position, who'd won Defensive Player of the Year this year. And I think he also led the league in sacks this season. So I love TJ Watt, but on the other side, they are missing Bud Dupree, the other pass rusher who got actually injured for the season. And they also lost Devin Bush, their linebacker, their middle linebacker. So I think that that's going to be huge in this game of them not having those guys, because in this game, I do think that Nick Chubb is going to go crazy in this game. I really think that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to set the tone, and they're going to open up that play action pass for Baker Mayfield. I do think a lot of people are overlooking this Cleveland Browns team, but I've kind of kept a close eye on the Cleveland Browns team all season, and I'm liking what I'm seeing out of this team. I love the offensive scheme, that West Coast scheme that they run, kind of like Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan and all these guys that's running that West Coast scheme. LaFleur out there in Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, all these guys and these offensive coordinators that's running this West Coast scheme. The Browns actually brought in Cliff. I don't believe his name is Cliff. His name is Stefanski, I believe is his name. This guy, he was actually the offensive coordinator for the Vikings prior to taking his head coaching job this year with the Cleveland Browns. But Stefanski is not coaching in this game, actually, because he caught COVID. So he's not going to be able to coach in this game. He is their head coach and also the play caller for the Cleveland Browns. But I do think, actually, I believe his name is Kevin Stefanski, if I'm not mistaken. But I love this kid. I do think that Kevin Stefanski is one of the smartest offensive minds in the game, young offensive minds. He is a first-year head coach. And it sucks because he caught COVID prior to this playoff game, so he's not going to be able to coach his team in his first matchup. But I still think that they're going to win this game somehow, some way. I think whoever's calling the plays are going to do a good job. And I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a great team, but something's been missing with this Pittsburgh Steelers team all season. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's Ben Roethlisberger taking a step back, being that he's older and kind of on the back end of his career at this point. But something hasn't been right all season with this Pittsburgh team. Even, with them losing to the Bengals earlier this season, and they really look bad the last couple of weeks, and it doesn't look like they're playing their best football. And I really think that that's going to come back to bite them in this game. And I do think that the Cleveland Browns are going to come up with the upset. Now, I do love the wide receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Claypool at the wide receiver position out of Notre Dame, the rookie wide receiver for them. And I believe his name is Chase Claypool, excuse me. Yeah, the wide receiver for the Steelers is a monster. He's a beast. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, the possession receiver that they have. I do think that they have a ton of weapons on the offensive side of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I really think that what's being overlooked for the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things is they're not a team that's able to run the football. I don't know if people have noticed, but this year the Steelers are a quick pass team. They like to throw a lot of short passes, but they haven't been able to run the football this year. They struggle to run the ball. And I really think that that's going to come back to bite them in this playoff game against the Browns, because the Browns are a team that are not one-dimensional on offense. They can run the ball and they can throw the ball, and they run the ball to set up that play-action pass with Baker Mayfield. And I really think that the Browns are being overlooked in this matchup. I see a lot of people picking the Steelers, and I understand why you would pick the Steelers, but I really think that this is going to be the upset of the weekend. I do think that the Browns are going to somehow, some way pull this game out, and I really think they're going to run. Nick Chubb is going to run the rock, him and Kareem Hunt, and I think they're going to control the tempo of this game, and somehow, some way, the Cleveland Browns are going to pull out this win. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. You guys let me know what you think of in this game. Another player I forgot to mention in this game that could be a huge player in this game and could cause some big plays in this game or make some big plays in this game is the safety for the Steelers. I can't think of the kid's name right now, but he was brought over from the Miami Dolphins. And he's a player as well at that safety role. Since he's come over, he's been a monster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's one of those guys that's a playmaker. Him and TJ Watt are the playmakers on that Steelers defense. But I just think that the Browns are going to somehow, some way dominate them in the trenches. And if that's the case, I do think that Myles Garrett and those guys on the defensive side of the ball are really being overlooked. I love Denzel Ward at that corner position for the Browns. Now, don't get me wrong. The Steelers do have some players on that, on their side of the ball too that can make plays, like the Cam Haywards of the world, the Joe Haydens at the cornerback position for the Steelers. I just somehow, some way think that something is not sitting right with me. It hasn't sat right all season with the Steelers with me, and I think in this game it's going to really rear its ugly head. And I do think that the Browns are going to be able to somehow pull this game out. But with that being said, this has been Drew's predictions. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to be doing these predictions all playoffs long, every round. But these are my predictions for this week. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. With that being said, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button for your boy. But with that being said, this has been your boy Drew signing out. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, rise up, Falcons Nation. Peace.